dampen it in terms of strategy, but sometimes it feels kind of random, you know, who's able to come out ahead here. So maybe if they're fortunate, they'll feel a little bit better if it starts with this pistol.
Let's see if that's the case. We've got a really fast fight here inside a connector. Bombs actually included in this firefight. Tarek wants to give chase to Glaive, who does get away for the time being, but repeats to his demise. Another headshot here for MiBR, and it looks like they've done it. It looks like they will continue to contest the curse. Another pistol potentially theirs, unless Device, who after last game was just immaculate.
I can't remember a performance from him in a single map in a final like that.
No,
I don't ever,
not to be that lopsided.
Yeah, I mean, you know, MiBR meeting them in a final can only happen under special circumstances, but still, like, he killed Tarek's Stewie falling Coldzera for 34 times in a map, right? And like it just doesn't, it's just not easy to do on an individual basis, and let alone with just his team score like right behind him. But overall, clean headshots across the board, and you know, right after this, right, the team looks to the left, looks to the right, dabs everyone up, starting to feel like, all right, we started somewhere good. So now we move into round 2, and Astralis decided to force into it. They do have armor as well as some utility, and I like that. This is something that MiBR haven't done. They have focused on buying pistols and armor, but not so much the nades and flashes and supporting grenades that can really take a round like this, a low percentage round, over the line.
Was Fallen and Device to make initial contact with one another. Deagle at a distance can be dangerous, indeed. But Fallen and Fur will be side by side here towards the washroom. So a little forward presence. This is going to give some real estate over to Astralis. It's going to allow for them to work long, get that info as well. Just start kind of pressuring MiBR in the sense that we're going to get into the close proximity, whereby these SMGs versus pistols don't have as big of an advantage. But gotta be cautious. There's a totem pole here on the other side. That's a great frag grenade out for Fur. Substantial damage. And the fact that Fallen has already picked up a kill just means this is looking good for the Brazilian core. But it's not done yet. And there's 45 seconds left still for it to unfold. It's going to be off that long contact. Keep your eyes on Device for a second. He is going to be finding Tarek. And sure enough, he takes his head down. So now these two CTs are going to get pinched from each side. And yes, just like that, you've got yourself a round. Astralis seem to have managed to at least put this in a question. Far enough with
cancel a smoke out with another smoke, and that's what Fur did. Is as Glaive threw one to the site so that they could get out of bathrooms, Fur threw his immediately so that they couldn't get past his. And then at that point you think, all right, there's not that much utility for Astralis. MiBR have this in the bag, and Device comes through to make another play.
He gets the first kill this time. It was a 4-man cohort working up long A. And MiBR immediately had thrown themselves towards the B site, so trying to play close proximity, trying to do something of a stack. But Astralis will continue with another kill. Device just making quick work of any long players so far.
This round already falling apart, so we can see the fire coming through the floor just to let them know that bank is closed. And now it's just these 3 players that have to kind of wait and play like retake frags, which is never fun to do if they work hard enough already to come by. But if you hit a flick like that, I mean, you can make a case for it.
Yeah, give me more of those. If at the very least you're going to lose rounds, make them pay for it. The price of life.
But long the approach is a very common thing to do for terrorists who want to come up on Overpass and make sure that they have the least chances to lose. If they want to just group up and explode, or they want to move around along quickly, it's actually really nice when you can have your back against a wall at any time, and that means being on either the left side or the right side of the map. So if you're over at B, you can go on Monster, and everybody swings out. Nobody has to worry about crossfires, or like on Nuke, when you come out of Squeaky, you have to worry about Heaven. Instead, you can just kind of back to the wall. There's this one close left angle, and besides that, they can swing out together and just follow the same stuff and make sure that they trade. And it's a clean round for Astralis. Overall, they lost 2, but they can afford it because of the SMG players. So, what'll be the case now? Stewie's gonna be able to recycle his UMP, which is something. I like that on the pistol. They were controlling the middle of the map. That's a very important part of the map, obviously. Just denies that 7-second rotation offered up from the stairs that is otherwise, you know, over between 10 and 15 seconds if they want to go back through spawn. That's something we'll see teams do on select rifle rounds because it is kind of a precarious spot to put CTs in when they have a lot to lose. But if done right, can have tremendous impact.
We're looking for more tremendous impact towards long this round. Continuing with what has worked already, but there's a little bit of a slight difference. Stewie 2K up here towards the top of washrooms with a UMP. A little bit of firepower. He's good enough for a single kill, and he knows there's others out there. So he'll just hope that they trickle in and substantial damage, whether that be from him or, of course, Astralis' teammates. What's substantial is that Glaive sits on a low bar, and that the rest of the pistol players still up for MiBR can get something done. But Astralis will take a breather, pump the brakes. They've got a minute 10 to do so. And in the meantime, MiBR, they'll wait for no man. Looks like they want to make a play towards bathrooms, or at least find the safety of the cover, because with these positions, they can actually stop the cross, which would flush Coldzera out of the block. Cold can just stay less than Dupree.
And he waits for them to retake A, and also all of these players that are left in A, since they go long, are now in the fishbowl. And everybody from the T side that's swinging out long has so many advantages peeking into the site that they are relatively safe, even though there was an overstacked area. Now we have all of Astralis congregated towards B outside with the bomb, and smoke's ready to go. Do you know what's coming?
I'm gonna say an execute.
Yeah, certainly feels like it. You typically are not gonna want to let go of the other half of the map unless you're gonna do something like this.
He's got Stewie in an awkward spot. The flames to his feet, Coldzera by his side. The Astralis actually haven't made too much progress past the monster. Stu will drop to the fragmentation. First man in, and Tarek's now here to support. So we do see MiBR trickling downwards, and we see Astralis limping forwards, but they haven't really sustained much loss in the form of casualties or damage. In fact, they planted this 4v4, and there's so many people on the side, it feels like there's 8 guys here. Zipex device, they're going to be getting these kills. Finally, we see that big clash, that crescendo of kills, and they all belong to Astralis.
Called the Kalashnikov.
Yeah, for a reason.
Yeah, they just crunched them on the site. Everybody folded. And we're going to see later in the next half the way that Astralis play the B site versus execute. The smoke they drop is actually similar to the one that we see right here by the pillar, and it connects with the barrels to make sure that you deny vision. But as we can see, this is because the smoke was actually offset a little bit, Device was offered up a headshot angle to go and peek the player that was going to go and hit. Normally, as a CT smokes that, then they're going to be able to kill the planter or make it really uncomfortable to think about planting because that area, that part of the map is uncontrolled. The Device was able to exploit it.
Throwing themselves into shorts. After this delayed push, we get that big flurry of frag grenades, and off of that, it's the explosion, right? It's a burst and it's quick, but it's well timed. It's intelligently timed. And you saw the end result. Around for Astralis, 5 in a row now as they are on fire officially. Double up setup. Fallen and Coldzera.
Said it before I could. It's going to be definitely the focal point of this map, especially now, late in the half adjustment. Astralis aren't going to poke the beast, instead slowing the tempo down, waiting to see if there's any movement from MiBR so that they can react. And instead the clock will simply bleed down. Still plenty of time left to do what they need to do. But it's at this point where MiBR, who have used some grenades, are going to start thinking about falling back, and that might be the worst thing they can do.
I feel like Fur is incredibly alone here, very much isolated. Fallen would be the closest form of support, but because he as well is on his own, his attention entirely allocated over here towards Party, and well, there's a smoke up in his face, but he's gonna have to get CQC, and that's as close as you can get. He goes right past, and now Fallen is in a powerful position, but Tarek has to realize there could be people here. Spam is good for damage. Fallen doesn't want to scope in, doesn't want to be heard. Will find the fadeaway kill just as Tarek had denied entrance towards this A site. And immediately, MiBR have established a man advantage in this 4 versus 3. The B site is actually being bolstered. Tarek has moved down. He gets ahead of this rotation, calling it. Its tracks. 15 seconds left, and nobody moves further. Excellent hold from MiBR.
Yeah, absolutely well played, and it was all about getting the information there. And just as you mentioned, there was a point of weakness in Fur because he was the only person in stairs, and typically you can be there as long as you have a way to fall back. And as soon as Fallen gets smoked out, instead of actually falling back and being afraid, he stands his ground, waits there for information, Fur goes down, but he answers right back. And then he also pushes them into an awkward spot where now they don't have the off taken out at A, and they just lost a kill for free. So it was very important that MiBR stood their ground, and we know that they're always going to be good for that. Very aggressive squad here, even before when they were 5 Brazilians, and now with Stewie, they've got playmakers, so it's good that they're keeping up the tempo and not feigning to the aggression of Astralis.
And I feel like that result in the previous round is a different type of a way to bolster confidence, whereby, you know, it's not somebody taking a very big responsibility and making a brazen play, but rather sitting back and playing textbook CS. We'll see if they can lock down the B site yet again. It's Cold and Stewie falling back off of the first array of grenades. They put down a bit of their own, and it does disrupt the vision. Stewie and Fur have gotten 2. This is great. Astralis just stopped in their tracks as they attempt to get in, but it's tense, and it looked like it was going to be MiBR to actually hold in spite of that. Stewie going absolutely bananas on the B site from the barrel's position, but it seemed like in his final few moments, his head down, he was calling to his teammates to help him out, or he was trying to communicate something, but no one was even close. You know, he could have just kept trying to fight for himself, and maybe would have got more done. So it's going to be quick. A throwback to the most previous of rounds. It's the long A play with a couple of bodies stacked up into the bathrooms. They don't want to line up for the deagle. USP is then cleared, so Stewie meant to be left for the run.
That one chance. I've seen him hit wider flex from that position, but not this time around. That really could have done a lot in terms of making sure they would have had to save.
This is another really fast setup, though. Astralis just throwing themselves into short water. Fallen will be on the other side. I don't recall seeing this op down on the B bomb site. Sometimes sure in heaven, but never this close to the front line. See if anybody oversteps into his aim. Gotta be cautious when you're going for wallbang kills, because Zipex is in the server. He is the king of those when it comes to the B side of Overpass. But right now it is just MiBR with the kill feed to their favor. Stewie gets tagged to 50 in the process, but what's important is we're standing in a 5 versus 3, and Astralis are sort of boxed in. The connector player could be cleared depending on how Glaive decides to play this. Bomb pretty locked into Monster, doesn't really want to go anywhere too far from this position, but they also can just fall back. They can wait for someone from MiBR to overstep and die.
Yeah, and you know, Fur's doing the safest route possible to take this kind of liberty to go on a big flank. And honestly, if his teammates fail in the site in this situation, it's really not his fault. He has a great way to seal this up too, and he's playing it as safely as possible, expecting this would be extremely unlikely. But he misses his first opportunity. He could still fall back if he wanted to. Instead, he'll have the door slammed in his face. But Astralis, it's understood what they're going to do.
Yeah, they know, therefore they know that they're prepared. Coldzera with the miss his second shot as he takes damage. That's 2 ops on the pillar. Parking space for both, but they get the job done regardless. There's a third for MiBR, and it comes in the form of 4 players standing. That's what you love to see.
Yeah, man, it's just like looking like they were basically akimbo at that moment, shoulder to shoulder on the main pillar in the B site, but it's just because they knew exactly what was going to happen. You know, Fur had all that information, so like, let's overstack, you know? It also helps you focus on your crosshair. You know, you're going to make less mistakes in terms of like when you throw utility, when you think you could like need to peek B for something. All your teammates in the site just know that this is going to come at some point. Sun's out, guns out, and they're ready. So, solid round for MiBR to win. Double up setup pays off for what would have been probably the last time in the half, and now they're turning it up a notch.
Yeah, they're trying to get really aggressive, and Device wants nothing to do with it. I mean, he just underhands the flashbang and will join his teammates with what looks like a rapid B execution. For the first time, there's actually nobody for MiBR inside of this B site. They're not playing around the pillar or the barrels or even towards Monster. Instead, back here by Graffiti, the numbers are there, but the forward position is there. This is what can truly afford Astralis a bomb plant. And what's they put the smoke down for what could cover plant. He's going to get aggressive. He throws himself into this spray frantically. He's trying to shut it down, but he's caught. That's a Device. Just destroys Tarek. Sure, Cole is left back towards on Graffiti, but with 20 HP, what's he going to do? He needs his teammates to come bail him out, and they've already started with Fur. It's put us into this equal 3 versus 3, but in order to get closer to the bomb site, someone has to take an initiative. And who's going to do that? I mean, we've got Fallen swapping to an M4, not wanting to play 2 ops in this retake. He will be the front runner, and he's spotted by Zipex already. Cleaned and cleared with absolute ease. Coldzera is then... We need fair warning.
Let's not go back to camera.
So it's not a buy. We're not getting tubular here with Tarek. We're going to keep it to just the pistol. Single flashbang, always love to see it. $200 can always make a difference. Whether that be for a single kill or not, it's the thought that counts. It's the belief in yourself, but it's a big old stack over towards long A. Is anybody going to fall into this trap? It looks like it could be Device.
They're just reinforcing. It's actually, Astralis have kind of rerouted here. So they're leaving 1 at long to see if Astralis are just going to bite again, or sorry, MiBR, which they have. The thing is though, I mean, they can leave this, but the fishbowl effect still comes into play. Having long control is extremely powerful, even with just the USPs.
That one flash has been thrown over towards the A site because they mitigated long by just pushing it through the washrooms. And, well, they'll mitigate any presence by blasting their heads off.
And it obviously won't necessarily come from walking all the way down long. It's very terrifying for the terrorists to go out for. But if with long bathrooms control, they can actually rotate in and flank. So depending on how they set up, if they want to let them take the site completely, leaving a player in spawn, having top bathroom control, and watching the terrorists walk through the middle of A can help them avoid. But it's interesting, we're seeing the anti-eco evolve for Astralis specifically in this match versus MiBR. They have a good read of what's going on as the stack strengthens, and MiBR realize they aren't going to go for the reverse psychology or double mind games play. They're just going to go for what works. They are slowly adjusting, changing things slightly, still ending up in the same positions, but making tiny adjustments.
Trying, showing a little depth. That's so dangerous because, of course, being in front of the wooden panel means both the booster and boostee are susceptible to damage. And you can see both Coldzera and Tarek there taking some substantial hits. We saw that one round where Fur was left to his own devices inside connector, and this time it is fallen for him. He has it all to do, and there's not even anybody watching up towards parties, so someone could just walk down on him, but that's not the case. He's going to actually wrap back up and try to get away. However, the peak is there. Device. Let's drop the Opper. Stewie picks up another kill in the meantime to maintain this man advantage, but bomb is back, time is there. Astralis can make up their minds and play this time.
Or again, is once again taking the liberty of just kind of walking at his pace on a big flank. That should be the safest route possible. Device is kind of tuned into this. He's on the same frequency and immediately kills first. Fair amount of information gained for Astralis, as well as evening up in a situation where MiBR had the man advantage. So finally that costs them. And that awareness should pay off in dividends, as now their options are opened up. 20 seconds up though, and that bomb is kind of 3 rounds here for MiBR. They can still make a meal of it. It's kind of a mixed buy. It's a goodwill buy. Kind of ragtag, but Astralis turning up the heat, running through the fire flames.
Just straightforward, extinguishing it. Stewie, so fixated on the short that he doesn't prepare for the man pushing long, but the bomb's been thrown out. Coldzera seems to have done it. It seems as though he slowed down Astralis enough for the time being. We've seen them in positions like this before. Despite it being precarious, it is not impossible. Both T's now, side by side, will try to crack open some skulls. Molotov will prevent any sort of a peek. Fallen's going to get ever closer. They could actually go for a boost. That would be a really cool play, I think. But they won't. They're going to try wrapping around, which is still good enough to get kills. Device, last man up, goes down. 4 to 10 now as MiBR trying off with next to Pillar with his back turned. It's almost like they're thinking to themselves, okay, let's just try to stay alive. Not let's shut down this play before it happens, but rather let's survive the first offensive and see what's happening there. I feel like that's some conditioning from Astralis. MiBR right into it, but now they've gotten aggressive. They're playing their own game by just charging up through long, by pushing it forward, and they have themselves something successful. Again, a double man advantage. This is how they picked up the previous round, and this is how they may pick up the last.
Yeah, that's it. Some of the more classic T-side aggression, or CD-side aggression on Overpass is finally coming into play. And what's interesting is they pick Kit in a smoke on this round, but there's a fair bit amount of utility on MiBR as well. Tarek's got a Molotov and 2 flashes, and Fallen has a Molotov of his own, so it seems like they're clearly posturing up for a B-exec, and it's going to be running away.
Zipex just deleted near instantaneously. 2-3 falls in the exact same fashion. Stewie's on a tear. That's 3 kills for him. Now he's got the 4th, and Stu's going to pick up this ace if he chooses to. Device is the last man up. That was near instantaneous. Give us the win, Stu. No. All right. Fallen will help him out.
Oh my gosh.
You don't need the ego.
How much they pay you, Fallen? How much did they pay you?
There it is. Clearing of the board from Furt wraps up and around. So we just said how MiBR still had a chance here, and the pistol is the best way to stoke the flames when you have that little ember of a chance.
Yeah, now their goal is obviously to convert here on the anti-eco, but what a 4K, look at that, running. This guy's like Jason Bourne on the server at the moment.
Through
running
fire.
Through the fire, why not? Didn't even blink.
He's pissed he didn't get 5.
I can imagine. I'm sure he's pissed just from the first half, just by the way he died in the B site. Rounds that they lost, even though he had so much impact. Like, there were so many situations where I feel like he felt like he was in the zone, but he still got crushed. And that's the power of Astralis, obviously. So now, pushing out to B short with Lave on a close angle with a CB, but he's going to fall back quickly.
And remember, in the first half, it was still MiBR to pick up a pistol round, but it was the follow-up that they weren't able to convert. So we've been here before. We have been here all too often. Triple AK-47. So if it were to happen this time, then the costs are extravagant. I'd love to just see MiBR. I mean, immediately they set up some map control. They had 3 players go over towards Monster and Short. They had 2 over here towards Fountain to just watch for some kind of hyper Astralis aggression. And now that they haven't seen that, because there wasn't some expedition from Astralis, they've got this clump and kerneled offense, a cohort of Ts just working up mid. And this means they're going to effectively play the trade game and plant this bomb. Unless Astralis can put all of their pieces up on this ace effectively.
Seems like things may fall into place. They do have that long player. The first one to try to dig it out, and he only gets 1, but it's still good impact.
Tarek's 2 kills are crucial. Fur combining from long is also great. Now it's that 2-pronged assault that they get to just the custom. They'll win all their fights and do enough. 3 up for MiBR, a clean conversion with an easy round ahead.
So it's actually really interesting if we compare that round to the round from Astralis where they played an Eco. Now they actually, it was Astralis to just kind of go out right away, walk the entire way, and they were offered up that opportunity because they knew what their plan would be at the end of the round ahead of time. Whereas MiBR actually went out to B, and it seemed like they definitely were thinking about B because you wouldn't send 4 players just to see what's going on, right? You don't send a whole party just to like potentially like seek out some information. Instead, turning tail and going back to A ended up being the right decision, but they did it almost a little bit frantically, you know? And so there's like a mixture there. There's like a really good call, but there isn't that like that decisive game plan that we've seen from Astralis. And you know, every round needs to be thought of as being its own animal, and obviously there might have been a sign from Astralis to make them turn their attention away, but interesting comparison. Now, throwing a smoke, aids into the B site, leading the way.
No contest yet. Even once they try to do something, it's shut down. So, if every round is an animal, Launders, what kind of animal is this?
An otter. Otter is actually, an otter is a perfect example of MiBR because otters can break open coconuts on their chest, you know? They're actually a very powerful animal. And MiBR aren't thought of as like this world leader team, but they definitely just got top 4 at the major, right? So punching way above their weight, just like an otter.
It's a fantastic analogy.
You'd think we'd have that planned, but no, I just like otters a lot.
God, I was shooting for a joke, and now you've changed my whole perspective on life.
This is welcome to NGO.
Yeah. Settle down, David. 1 AWP in play, and it belongs to Device. No utility, that's the cost of it. No kit either. Take note of that in case we get into any after plants. But MiBR haven't gotten that far, and they're going to play a more reserved decision again. Just sit back and see if Astralis overextend. With no need to, they won't.
Similar scenes for them as they creep up to A in the setup phase of the round. Minute 26, they can encroach on bathrooms. There's not going to be an op to take off right now, and we see, you know, a lot of the times we see way more op impact in the bathrooms area from both sides. We haven't seen that, which is a really good sign. You know, it's not going to be that easy is what that says. Tarek's actually going to be the one on short all alone. They don't have info on stairs right now. They don't have long control. It's going to be imperative if they want either site.
You'd think surely they don't just burst out from bathrooms based on the fact that they have these smokes down. I mean, they're going to be walking right into Device, and that's exactly what Stewie's just done. Sure, a Molotov could burn him out into the open, and that makes you question whether or not the timing was perfect. Just a moment later, and maybe Device is exposed. Could have enabled Stewie to pick up the kill instead of picking up the death. 35 seconds left. Still, Tarek's down towards that A site. And we could have a fallback. But it looks like it's at least going to be another volley of nades up and over. The smokes do go. Molotovs to follow suit. Now Tarek is applying some pressure at B, and that's going to lock 2 of Astralis' members down there. But the commitment's on the A site, and they're going to have 15 seconds. That is it. I mean, they are playing this down to the wire. Fur needs to get these kills right here, right now. And you can see the CT is just looking to deny the bomb. If they can deny the bomb, they're good, but they can't. Although bomb's been left behind. Time is the difference maker. As long as the CTs survive. They've got this in the bag. It's 6 to left, and so it's there.
When you still have a 4v5 situation, right? So even though they got in the site, that was no recipe for victory.
But it's not the kind of play that you want to start, unpacking for them right now. They're continue on. That was crucial of a kill. Fallen straight through smoke, no problem.
Yeah, it's not a trade you can demand of they're going to be nice to have gotten it. And this round there's a lot of casualties. It was basically Flanders Field on the A site, so I think Astralis, even though they were able to win it in those last few moments, it cost everybody a lot of money.
How many kills can Dupree get here? He's on the front of the rock. He hears the footsteps, and despite the headshot versus Fallen, he is still denied. I mean, Fallen, he's getting kills through smoke. He's surviving headshots. He is keeping his team in this current round. Hands down.
Definitely was a little bit absent on train, and I mean, it's never too late to come alive until obviously the trophy is lifted. So he should be hopeful, obviously, that he can still turn this around. There's still only a 3-round disparity between the two teams, and they're making the correct decision by walking into Monster. This is, as we look at the mini-map, obviously the most open part of the entire map. Blave's going to spot that, probably call for his teammate to rotate, but all he has to do is stay here is a really good retake position.
His teammates come back down. Device now clears over towards long A, so he can start the long journey back. The question remains, how much are they willing to try and go for this? We know that Astralis are very willing to just save, to call it quits at times, and it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, what they have right now is certainly worth holding on to.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, and that's one of the rounds where you'd see like probably a lot of teams just at least try it, but then maybe cost a life. Instead, Astralis play the long game, and if you're MiBR, you're terrified of the fact that now that you know they're going to recycle 3 rifles, and let alone be able to buy 2 more. So another round on the board for MiBR. It could have been tied at this point. Considering that last round, we don't know again how that went down. And obviously, even if the bomb went down, there was still the chance that Astralis could have won like the 1v1 or the 2-on-2 or whatever the case was. So no point thinking on it too much. Stage we get to see the pyro.
It looks like a spaceship.
Complimented. I'm trying to fly that away.
I just want to stand on it.
Yeah, one day. It was a similar stage to the one at Copenhagen, but now we got
the double-decker
2-layer cake.
Yeah, I believe so. Moving up in the world.
Pretty cool stuff. So, what happens now? They aren't going to fortify the buy. Instead, they're going to recycle what they have, but I mean, that's terrifying, right, Connor?
Yeah, of course. I mean, and that's the beauty of it, right? All that decision was let this round slip, and look what they come into this with. I mean, I've seen force buys from Cloud9 that come in with less than that. So this is great. This is great. If Astralis want to continue to contest with only 2 rifles, I like that they also decide to include some kind of an aggressive stance. They go for some attempt here. It does cost them a life, sure enough, and the ump actually isn't passed back. It's left in the water. So they effectively have lost the SMG.
Yeah, at least they had someone to try to recycle the extra gun. That's, a nice consolation prize. And so now we've got a small upgrade for 1 player, even though they're in total down 1 man. Device is just way up here. Fallen's not going to give him any chance to capitalize and shoot some toes off. And it's kind of a stillness in this round as a lot of players are in the dark. Right, there's tons of fog of war between these two teams. They're holding their ground, but at the same time they're not veering too far off course. And so it's known that soon there will be a fight.
That fight belongs to Device. Takes an initiative, and it's perfectly timed. Both frags with that CZ, takes this down to an even 2v2 because first found an entry on the A site. I mean, that's just perfect. As far as MiBR are concerned, those entries all happen fast enough for them to regain what was nearly lost. Remember, Astralis, they saved the trimmings from the previous round, and they managed to win it regardless. They can.
But damn, that's one way for a round to go. On top of others, these are starting to pile up. Astralis broke into the double digits earlier than they were supposed to.
This is a fast one. They're going to go right through that CT smoke. Unfazed by Astralis' utility. Stewie clears out the barrels immediately. Blinding flashbangs go both ways, and a Molotov's supposed to prevent any kind of a walk up from this ramp. And they're doing a good job of isolating these CTs. Look at Stewie go! He's taking the initiative on his own. And it's Device now all that's left. A fast round from MiBR, a rapid clash inside the B site, and an immediate round is theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the pace, a fiery temperature. Stewie jumping through his own smoke wall across the entire site to make a move because he knows that with this many players alive, he's not going to be able to just simply win this. And it's been retakes that Astralis have shined in.
That's the Stewie I remember.
Yeah, right?
There we go, Yanko too, firing them up. I mean, again, we talked about the resetting of composure from a round to round. I mean, Yanko looks like a beast behind them.
Absolutely.
Right?
Imagine hearing that. Like, you actually believe someone, like, truly believes that you have it.
Yeah.
If they didn't, I mean, he'd be deflated.
I feel like that's what him and Zonic have so much in common. They're two very vocal, very animated coaches, and if your players are getting distressed and disgruntled, they're immovable rocks. What is movable is all of these A-site defenders. I mean, plowing straight through them.
What happens next? Forget about all the mistakes, and they can forget about Overpass after this is done as well. So they've got another eco round from Astralis that they can try to capitalize on. Zipix has got himself an AK, which is definitely very powerful in the right hands. But he is only one man, so shouldn't pose too much of a threat.
Zipix has to be careful. I mean, Stewie at any moment can just peek wide, and he's heard the doorway, that's for certain. So he's probably prepared for the push. Clearly picking up the kill. Remember, Zipix was the one gun wielder for Astralis. The first line of offense, the only threat. And a threat that's been neutralized early on. Come on, Stewie, get up. You didn't get the first ace, and you won't get this one either. Device, like a goblin, is sitting down in the sewage. But you know, you do what you got to do to get kills.
Good job. Engineer a huge comeback into the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a kind of like a tragic first half, but he has bounced back harder than LeBron's hairline.
It's one of those things I love about Stewie is when he starts getting frustrated and angry, I think it sometimes translates well into his gameplay. Because he just wants so badly to make them pay, which he's done. But he's also been eliminated from this round. He's met Device, another beast.
Middle of the map control to MiBR, but down a man. So you still got to give the advantage to Astralis. That is the best peace of mind that you can have in the first few moments of any setup phase of a round. Initial long smoke goes down, and Device is using it as a way to fall back. So he's going to take the shot and move off it, and that can actually bait them into Zipix, who's holding this, or sorry, Dupree, who's holding this flat angle. But again, long control imperative. They can't just get this A-site for free. They've got to deal with Dupree. They haven't done it yet. Fur has no support as well.
He's even going to linger. He's playing around the smoke. Holy flash is Dupree. Tarek reads the fact that he is still nearby. No further deaths as of yet. If anything, I feel like this may convince MiBR to just walk away from long, because if Coldzera goes over this, sure, he could go to the corner, but remember, there's going to be support from the site. Not a very fun fight, and still one that they will pick up. Device unable to cover, but the repeat's going to cost Tarek his head. And that's the bomb also thrown out into the open. With 15 seconds left, they know there's no option to head towards B. So we start to get that rotation upwards, and the question now is, do MiBR continue on? Do they try to force the issue? Because they have to do it right now. They need these kills right now. And even despite getting the first one, this round's already lost. For the second time, we'll find MiBR come short as champions. Currently in here.
Yeah.
MiBR.
That's true.
The core of it, looking to retain at least one title. Astralis seems to have been picking up every other major title you could. So I'm sure that they're hunting this scalp as well. I love the fact that we've got two ops up right now, Device and Fallen. Will they be able to find one another? No, not at this current moment. Only once Fallen continues this expedition down long could he possibly find Device, who's currently flirting and floating around the A site.
There it is. Getting real peaky with the Zob. Moving, you can see the pace is a little bit higher here. Wasting less time for good reason. Can't risk any more time flubs. Not in this circumstance. And, oh, a little bit of a boost. Oh my god, I thought he was going to go for that.
Just imagine. Head ripped clean off. Corpse thrown back into the bank. I wonder what the exchange rate would be on that. 45 seconds again. Do not want to see them come short on time. It's happened twice on this site specifically.
Making good progress here, though. They just got to continue with it. Executes out.
CT is not really with enough utility to completely hold them back. I mean, they've literally just boxed out this bomb site with smokes. They're not able to hold on to long control. That's such a crucial kill for Dupree. He just goes flying forward, and because of that, he's able to skewer the plan. There, but Dupree is safe.
If you have 5 long, that's viable. 5 bathrooms, that's not viable. So if your player dies long just because you set 1 there, it doesn't matter.
Stance here from MiBR. They're only now getting out into the fountain, possibly hoping that Astralis would continue with an hyper-aggressive play, but that is not the case. Instead, they've stacked the B site. Tarek's been tasked with this before, just being that one sole floater. Warning sign. The Astralis frags. 2 thrown out at B, and they've done nothing this time. I'm looking at this A-site defense and wondering, I mean, if MiBR just go 4 on this, no long presence, he is solely on device, and he's already picked up the first kill, but he's caught trying to overextend around the corner, and MiBR, they just burst and blast into the A-site. They've done it, so it seems. They've finally found their footing on this side of the map, and it doesn't come with long plays, it doesn't come with some sort of elaborate execution, it comes with a rapid pace. That's how they get in. And now as they fall back, Tarek looks to nail them against the wall. The first is his. 2 more to take, but it looks like they could still get away with something. But what's important, Launders, is even though it wasn't an immediate reset, there hasn't been much time for Astralis to accumulate cash. I don't know what stance they're going to be in if MiBR clear the board.
Let's definitely take a look. We see that there's actually quite a few players who are not in the best situation on Astralis. This could be a really relevant save to keep a close eye on because they've lost rounds, they don't want to go and be a little bit too overzealous, maybe lose a kill or 2. But yeah, the buy-ups for Astralis, I believe they'll be there, but they're not going to be perfect. A couple of players have actually converted with AKs. Full set of grenades on device. Utility belt looking all good for most people. It's not full nades, but it's actually not so bad. So they do fall on their feet. And MiBR also very healthy. Yep. No, MiBR were able to take bathrooms into A. There was no one from Astralis that long. There was just no contention there whatsoever for whatever reason.
An utter turnaround here from Device between rounds. He goes from hiding behind the A-site plant box to all of a sudden going on this foray towards Fountain. So not wanting to give away all of that real estate as they did in the previous round, it looks like Astralis looked to hold on to a little map control because that can be costly. That's a classic thing that happens with the A-site on overpasses. If they get really close, they can just overwhelm, but I don't know if Tarek anticipates a man behind the sandbags.
Well, he got very lucky there. No, he was definitely spotted, Magis being so far away from the angle. Even though he wasn't on camera, you could assume from his perspective he had info. Molotov fluffed it long. The tree's going to have to be cleared, and some AK shots will have to ring out. But the CT's so far back, it won't make too much of a difference, and now we've got the orders. It's looking like a B hit, Connor.
It's been a little while since we've seen MiBR go all in on something like a monster push. Got the time to possibly wrap around through short, but the question is then, can Magisk lock that down? Whereas if they all just charge out through monster here and now, there's nobody to really stop them. Magisk, though, he could find cover behind the sandbags if he's fast enough on his feet, but instead he falls back. Tarek is completely flashed, but still stands. I mean, this is another situation whereby MiBR can put a bomb down. They're pushing through and clearing water. There's 3 kills here for MiBR, and they're tying things up at 14. They've convinced Astralis back. And now would be the time to chase kills and just crush Astralis, because no matter what, we're going to round 30.
Yeah, round 30 and no money for Astralis. His device also falls, meaning an op that they won't be able to recover and won't be able to rebuy. Deve and Dupree here is the last man standing. Tons of time left on this bomb. I mean, his life is still in question. Fur might be the man to come by him. Will he spot him in this situation? And this is a tense moment. Those of us know it, but first turn his attention away and they'll at least have one gun to take into the next round.
I like the way we've seen these kinds of blanketed bomb sites. Going back to the A site, for the amount of times we've seen Astralis go for saves, it surprises me to see this happen now.
For sure.
They have been tailoring their strategies and buys to the saves. They have been very conservative with their cash.
And they heard, and MiBR heard all those nades. They have to know that Astralis are poor. So this is quite interesting. ENT go towards long. Similar scenes here for the Brazilians, the Turkish, and where he's from incorrect, but they have now got a ton of advantages.
The only thing I can see happening here is if you lose, you go for a complete and utter gamble stack, leave a single player on the A site or B, wherever it is you want to gamble, and then either you have a gambled hold with a force buy, or if these players, you know, lose a site quickly, that's when you transition into an immediate save, and then in the follow-up round you still have your Kevlar grenades, and you'll be all right. But it's a gamble. You have to assume that everybody gets out of here alive, or you just go all in and you try to MiBR. It would be huge to do it in such a fashion in the grand finals of the map that could push this into the Astralis win, which could strip MiBR of their title.
Stacks at B though. Shot missed. Immediate rotations come out. The site exec is on. 28 seconds up.
We've seen them falter and fumble. The wave could be a single-handed thorn, but he goes on top of the ball. Spray down, but that's only for one kill. And it looks like they've got this in the bag because there's still enough time to retrieve the bomb and get that plant in. Coldzera sees it coming a mile away. And Device may be fantastic. He can be phenomenal even. But does he have it in him? In this 1v3, he's upgraded into the M4. 13 shots in the mag, and the first kill finally connected. Second one's up close. Spur just on the other side of the smoke and swapping out to the sidearm leaves him on only 5 shots, so he fades away to save.
Wow.
Or does he linger a second time?
The clock is not even that far gone. I feel like even though he's a little bit low on HP, looks for the damage. I don't even know if he gets away at this point. Potentially just under the bomb, but yeah, it looks like he might be fine. It's tenacity from MiBR. Going back to
bring it back was all on this T side, and they have done a fantastic job. They have had struggles. They have lost rounds to the clock. They have fumbled when it comes to executions, but at other times they have just shown utter confidence, liquid rage on these entries at time. But it all comes down to this one. Astralis can still force OT. And in order to do so, they're playing off of the back of an M4 Scout Ump 2 pistols. Grenades are there, single kit. There's enough pieces of the puzzle for me to believe because it is Astralis at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's something to always remember. Because if you don't, you'll get caught off guard. Now that that part of the plan has not been fruitful, no nades have landed. Decided to move on, potentially back towards A. Dupree. The reaction grenade goes overhead, but just a bit too far.
Remember, that's the one M4 for Dupree, so to see him on such a forward stance makes me a little wary. You don't want that M4 to go down. You want him to be in a position where if he makes first contact, he can ensure a fallback and play a safer kind of bunkered position, something like behind Optimus Prime or floating between the dice box. You want him to be able to rotate as well if suddenly it switches to the B site, because remember, Astralis have no forward positioning. They have no information or confirmation as to where MiBR are at, but they do have wind of this play. And they do have the ability to lock down Monster. That would cut Fallen off from the rest of his team, who look to be excessively pushing through short. But there's 20 seconds, and time could be a big issue yet again. They don't have control of Monster. They're being shot in the back, but the kills are still coming their way. And with Dupree caught off guard, it falls onto Device. MiBR looking to push this to a third map, and they absolutely will. They will not go down without a fight. They'll continue